The arrogant alien scum laughed as they surrounded Earth, until they saw the 800,000 human warships decloak behind the moon, with enough firepower to send the Ferengi straight to hell. When the urgent summons came, Gabriel Shaw raced his hover car to UN headquarters in New York, weaving through traffic with expert precision. He strode into the subterranean bunker, his worn combat boots clanging on metal stairs. In the dimly lit command center, ashen-faced world leaders turned to Gabriel. The U.S. president spoke first. "Mr. Shaw, the Ferengi have us surrounded." The main view screen flashed to life, showing a squat, gray-skinned alien in ornate robes. "People of Earth," Ferengi Supreme Leader Spica sneered, "your primitive defenses are no match for our armada. We have analyzed your capabilities, and you pose no threat. Surrender now and serve the Ferengi Empire." Gabriel narrowed his eyes. "Mr. President, I need to show you something." He pulled a device from his jacket and a hologram sprang to life, a massive fleet of human warships hiding on the moon's far side. The Brazilian president gasped, "Impossible, how?" "We've been preparing, in secret." Gabriel zoomed in on rows of dagger-shaped battlecruisers, heavy orbital bombardment platforms, nimble fighters with plasma cannons. 800,000 ships total, with technology the Ferengi can't even imagine. Cloaking, AI, inertial dampeners, wormhole generators. This fleet is Earth's ace in the hole against alien invasion. Gabriel faced the world leaders. The Ferengi think we're helpless. They want to enslave us, exploit our planet. But we have a choice. We fight. For our freedom, for our children's future. No negotiation, no surrender. It's time we take our stand. The U.S. president nodded slowly. "All in favor of appointing Mr. Shaw as Supreme Commander of Earth's Space Forces?" Every hand raised. Gabriel clenched his fists as he stared at the Ferengi warships on the view screen, a gleaming alien menace itching to subjugate humanity. He had to mobilize the fleet immediately, get into battle formation, and strike before the Ferengi realized what they were truly up against. The survival of the human race hung in the balance. This was it, the moment of truth. Time to show the galaxy what humans were made of. Gabriel's fingers flew across the command console on the bridge of his flagship, the UES Defiance, as he put his daring plan into motion. "All stealth ships, commence hit-and-run attacks on the Ferengi fleet. Decloak, fire, and get the hell out of there. Keep them guessing." Sleek human vessels shimmered into view amidst the Ferengi armada, catching the alien ships by surprise. Antimatter torpedoes and particle beams lanced out, ripping through Ferengi shields and hulls without effort. Explosions blossomed across the void as the advanced human weapons found their marks. The Ferengi ships scrambled to respond, turrets swiveling to track the attacking human craft, but the AI combat systems of the human vessels were always one step ahead. The stealth ships danced and weaved, evading locks and incoming fire with seemingly prescient agility before recloaking and vanishing like ghosts. On the bridge of his dreadnought, Spica slammed a fist on the armrest of his command throne as reports of the devastating surprise attack flooded in. "Impossible!" he snarled. "How can these primitives possess such technology?" But the reports spoke for themselves. Dozens of Ferengi capital ships destroyed or crippled, drifting and burning against the backdrop of Earth. The human losses were minimal in comparison. Spica's eyes blazed with rage and humiliation. He had been outplayed by the species he had dismissed as backward savages. "All ships, converge on the human fleet," he bellowed. "Overwhelm them with numbers. Tear them apart." The Ferengi armada, still vastly outnumbering the human ships, surged forward like a swarm of locusts. Thousands of Ferengi vessels swept towards the humans, disruptor arrays charged and thirsty for blood. The space around Earth became a cauldron of destruction as the two fleets clashed, weapons fire crisscrossing the void. Gabriel gritted his teeth as he watched the Ferengi reinforcements pouring in on the tactical display. The technological superiority of his ships was the only thing keeping them in the fight against the Ferengi's numbers. And that advantage was being ground away with every passing minute as more and more human ships fell to the enemy's onslaught. We can't keep trading losses at this rate, Gabriel growled. We need to thin out those reinforcements. An idea formed in his mind, a tactic that had never been tried outside of simulations. It was risky, but he was out of options. Wormhole Squadron, I have a mission for you, Gabriel said over the comm. I'm transmitting coordinates near the lunar far side. Lure as many Ferengi ships as you can to that position and activate your wormhole generators. Let's see how they like a taste of cosmic spaghetti. Acknowledgements came from the ships equipped with the experimental wormhole technology. They peeled away from the main battle, Ferengi vessels hot on their tails. The human ships raced towards the moon, drawing more and more enemy craft into pursuit as they went. As the designated coordinates approached, the wormhole generators on the human ships thrummed to life, space-time twisting and distorting around them. The Ferengi, too focused on the pursuit to realize the trap, plunged headlong into the sudden maelstrom of gravitic forces. Metal shrieked and hulls crumpled as the Ferengi ships were caught in the throes of the unstable wormholes. Some were crushed into unrecognizable wreckage, while others vanished into the rifts, never to be seen again. In mere moments, dozens of enemy vessels were reduced to drifting debris. Spica watched in disbelief as a significant portion of his reinforcements was wiped out in a single stroke. The devious cunning and skill of this human commander was unlike anything he had ever faced. The Ferengi leader ground his teeth, realizing he had made a grave error in underestimating this foe. On the Defiance's bridge, Gabriel let out a held breath as his gambit paid off. The wormhole attack had bought them precious breathing room, but he knew this was only a temporary reprieve. Spica and the Ferengi would not give up so easily, not when they had come this close to victory. As the two fleets regrouped and the guns fell silent for a brief moment, Gabriel knew this was just the calm before the storm. The Ferengi would adapt, and they would return with a vengeance. The battle for Earth's fate was still just getting started. The bridge of the UES Defiance fell silent as Gabriel Shaw studied the tactical display. The initial clash had been brutal, leaving both fleets battered and regrouping. But Gabriel knew this lull wouldn't last. "Computer, show me captured Ferengi data on supply routes," he ordered. A web of glowing lines appeared, crisscrossing the star map. One pulsing artery caught his eye, the main supply line feeding the Ferengi armada besieging Earth. Gabriel's fingers flew across the console, selecting ships for a daring strike. "Admiral Chen, I need our 3,000 most advanced warships prepped for immediate hyperspace jump." Chen's hologram appeared, eyebrows raised. "Sir, that's a third of our fleet. You sure about this?" "It's our best shot," Gabriel said. "While we keep Spica occupied here, this strike force will hit their supply line hard." He transmitted the jump coordinates. "Complete radio silence once you're behind enemy lines. Hit them fast and vanish." As Chen's task force prepared to depart, Gabriel turned his attention to the remaining ships. "All vessels, new formation. We're going to dance with the Ferengi and keep their eyes on us." Across the void, Supreme Leader Spica paced the deck of his dreadnought. "Status report!" he barked. "Human fleet is repositioning, sir," a subordinate replied. "Looks like they're preparing to attack." Spica's lips curled into a sneer. So predictable. All ships moved to intercept. The space around Earth erupted once more into chaos as energy beams lanced between the clashing armadas. But even as capital ships traded savage blows, a silent knife slipped through the dark behind Ferengi lines. Admiral Chen watched the sensor readouts as his strike force dropped out of hyperspace. "There," he whispered, "the supply convoy." Before the lumbering Ferengi freighters could react, the human ships decloaked. Swarms of missiles streaked through the void, their antimatter warheads detonating in blinding flashes. Dozens of transports vanished in the inferno. "Ferengi escorts incoming," Chen's tactical officer shouted. "Too little, too late," Chen said grimly. "All ships, engage at will." The strike force tore through the convoy's meager defenses. Precision-guided projectiles punched through hulls. Cargo pods vented atmosphere and supplies into space. Within minutes, the vital Ferengi supply line was reduced to floating wreckage. Back at Earth, Spica's command deck erupted into chaos as frantic reports poured in. Impossible, he snarled. How did they? His eyes widened as he realized the trap. It was a diversion, he hissed. Redirect the fleet. We must reopen that supply line or we're finished. But even as Spica's ships peeled away from Earth, Gabriel sprung the next phase of his plan. Stealthed human vessels slipped through the weakened Ferengi blockade, unleashing experimental weapons. Antimatter warheads bloomed against Ferengi hulls. Malicious code wormed its way into nav computers, sending ships careening out of control. One by one, Ferengi capital ships fell silent or exploded. Hour after hour, the brutal war of attrition ground on. Spica watched helplessly as his technological disadvantage became painfully clear. The humans danced through his formation, striking and fading like ghosts. Desperation clawed at Spica's throat. He had one last card to play. All remaining ships, he commanded. Form up on me. We end this now. The battered Ferengi armada consolidated, driving towards Earth in one final push. But as they closed in on the blue world, Spica's jaw dropped in disbelief. The human fleet had vanished. Leaving Spica staring at empty space where moments ago Earth's defenders had stood their ground. His bulbous eyes narrowed as he barked orders, spit flecking his lips. Full sensor sweep, find those human vermin. Ferengi technicians scrambled to obey, fingers flying across control panels. Minutes stretched into an eternity before one called out, voice trembling. Sir, faint subspace distortions detected. The humans, they're still here, just invisible somehow. Spica's triumphant grin twisted into a snarl. Target those signatures. Fire everything we... His words died as pinpricks of absolute darkness bloomed around his fleet. Quantum singularities, dozens of them, formed from nothing. What devilry is this? Spica whispered. The answer came in searing lances of plasma that sliced through Ferengi ships effortlessly. Hulls split open, venting atmosphere and screaming crew into the void. A third of Spica's fleet crumpled in minutes. Then space itself tore open. Micro-wormholes gaped wide, disgorging an armada of human ships. 500,000 vessels materialized in perfect formation, weapons already tracking targets. Open fire! Gabriel Shaw's voice rang out across the human fleet. A tsunami of destructive energy crashed over the Ferengi. Exotic particles and focused gravitational beams punched through shields and armor that had withstood the tests of 100 wars. Spica watched in horror as his mighty fleet dissolved into a cloud of debris and escape pods. Status report. 2/3 of our ships destroyed or disabled, Supreme Leader. Raw panic clawed at Spica's throat. Target Earth. If we fall, their homeworld burns with us. Massive energy weapons took aim at the blue world below. Spica's finger hovered over the firing control. And nothing happened. The weapons fired, but the deadly energies twisted and refracted, scattering harmlessly into space. 40,000 human ships shimmered into view. Their subspace disruption fields bending reality itself to protect Earth. No, Spica breathed, no. But denial changed nothing. The human juggernaut pressed on relentlessly. Spica's remaining ships fought and died or fled in panic. His own flagship shuddered as boarding pods latched onto the hull. Alarms blared. Security feeds showed human marines carving through deck after deck. Spica's Royal Guard formed a last stand outside the bridge, energy weapons flashing. The blast doors glowed cherry red, then white hot. They burst inward in a spray of molten metal. Through the smoke strode Gabriel Shaw himself, eyes blazing. Supreme Leader Spica. Gabriel's voice was cold steel. Your reign of terror ends now. Spica lunged for a hidden weapon, but Gabriel was faster. A precise nerve strike dropped the Ferengi leader to the deck, unconscious. As Gabriel's Marines secured the Ferengi commander, he gazed out at the starfield. The battle was won, but Gabriel Shaw stood at the view screen of the UES Defiance, his eyes fixed on the swirling chaos beyond. The fabric of space itself writhed and twisted, torn asunder by the singularity weapons they had unleashed. Subspace ruptures pulsed with eerie light, quantum fissures spiderwebbed across the void. The price of victory had been steep indeed. "Status report," Gabriel ordered, his voice tight. Lieutenant Rodriguez's fingers danced across her console. "Sir, gravimetric sensors are detecting multiple wormhole signatures. Long-range scouts from at least 15 different species. They're converging on our position." Gabriel's fists tight. The beacon of their power had drawn the attention of the galaxy, and now the vultures were circling. "Pull up the tactical display," he commanded. A holographic star map shimmered to life, dotted with pulsing red markers representing the incoming alien fleets. Earth sat at the center, a tiny blue speck dwarfed by the gathering storm. Admiral Chen's gruff voice cut through the tense silence. "They've seen what we can do, and now they want a piece of the action. Every warmonger and conquest-hungry despot for 1,000 light years is going to come knocking." Gabriel nodded grimly. "And we're not ready for another fight, not on this scale." He strode to the science station where Dr. Alara Voss hunched over reams of data. "Doctor, what options do we have?" Alara looked up, her eyes bloodshot from sleepless nights of calculations. "We've run the numbers, Commander. There might be a way to use our remaining singularity devices as a deterrent." She brought up a simulation on her screen. "If we detonate them in precisely calibrated locations, we could trigger a cascade effect. The resulting subspace detonation would ripple outward for thousands of light years." Gabriel watched as the simulated shockwave expanded, consuming entire star systems in its wake. "My God," he whispered, "the devastation would be unimaginable." Ilara finished. "Whole civilizations could be wiped out or flung into alternate dimensions. The very structure of space-time would be forever altered." Gabriel's mind reeled at the implications. They held the power to reshape the galaxy itself, to rewrite the cosmic order. But at what cost? "Sir," Rodriguez interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission. It's from all of them. Every alien fleet out there wants to open a dialogue." Gabriel took a deep breath. This was the moment that would define humanity's place in the cosmos. "Put them through," he said. The view screen flickered to life, filled with a patchwork of alien faces. Some were eerily humanoid, others defied description. All wore expressions of barely contained greed and aggression. A bulbous-headed being with iridescent skin spoke first. "Human, you have upset the balance of power in this sector. Your weapons technology cannot be allowed to remain solely in your possession." "Indeed," chittered an insectoid creature. "You will share this singularity arsenal with us, or we will take it by force." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembled alien leaders. Gabriel stood tall, his voice steady as he addressed them. "I'm afraid that won't be possible," he said. "Our singularity weapons are not for sale or distribution. They are a deterrent, nothing more." Outrage erupted from the alien delegation. Threats and demands for capitulation filled the air. Gabriel raised a hand, silencing them. "Before you consider any rash action," he continued, "I want you all to be aware of something." With a nod to Alara, Gabriel brought up the cascade simulation for all to see. Gasps and hisses of shock echoed through the transmission as the aliens witnessed the potential obliteration of their civilizations. "This is what will happen if you force our hand," Gabriel said, his voice cold. "We have the means to trigger this event at a moment's notice. Push us, and we'll take you all down with us." Silence fell over the alien leaders as the weight of Gabriel's words sank in. The fate of humanity and all alien species hung in the balance, with humanity's finger on the trigger. As Gabriel stared into the sea of alien faces, he felt the crushing weight of responsibility. The next words out of his mouth would shape the course of cosmic history. But even as he prepared to speak, alerts blared across the Defiance's bridge. "Sir," Rodriguez shouted, "we're detecting massive energy buildups from multiple fleets. They're powering weapons." Gabriel's blood ran cold. The cosmic game of chicken had begun, and now humanity would have to prove it wasn't bluffing.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.